Oh, come on. You've had a leisurely day. Let me hear it once more. We've got a lot to go for this evening. Good afternoon. All right, that's better. That's better. I'm Millard MacAdam. My friends call me Mac, and I'd like to think of all of you as my friends, so you may refer to me as Mac. That's what I prefer. So as you talk to me today, and you'll have a chance, we have a microphone up here, and you're going to have an opportunity, if you're willing, to play with me a little bit and share with the audience. You're going to have a chance to come and tell some of your recommendations on a place called Puerto Vallarta. That's what we're going to be working on. Before we do that, I want to ask you, what makes this a good day for you? Good afternoon for you? A what? A beer and a nap. Have you had your beer and your nap? Okay, you're good to go then. All right, anybody else? What makes it a good afternoon? Hey, that was really something, wasn't it? Yeah, I got to catch that just before I came down here with my computer and everything to get ready for the program. So I'm glad I was able to see the finish there. It was really spectacular, very spectacular. Anybody else? Makes it a good day for you. Okay, no more? Then we'll move right along here. Okay, what I'm going to do is give you a chance to share the best. Tips, treasures with your fellow travelers, and that's what this other microphone's for. I'll do a little, just very informal, very brief interviewing for those that are willing to play. So the first question is, what intrigues you most about Puerto Vallarta if you've been here before? By the way, this is going to be irrelevant. How many of you have been to Puerto Vallarta before? All right, we got some live ones over here, back here. Wonderful. If you folks think you'd like to respond and talk to your fellow passengers about some of the things that you'd like to share with them briefly, I invite you to come up around, just walk over here around to the microphone, because this is the first part of the program, if people want to play. The second question is, what are some unique, not to miss places you'd recommend visiting? What I've found as a fellow traveler is that people who've been someplace, as well as the locals, can tout you to some really wonderful places to go and see and to find out about if it fits your interest niche. So that's why I always try to give the passengers a chance to share with fellow passengers. I just think it's, I call it craft wisdom. That's kind of a fancy name for just street wisdom of people who've been there and traveled. So think about these two questions. And the last one, what are some unique, not to miss kinds of activities you'd recommend doing? A little bit different than places to not miss, but what about activities that you'd say don't miss in Puerto Vallarta? One that I'd give you on that last one is the parachute ride. If you've never done the parachute ride and you get a chance to do that, that is great fun. My wife and I have both done it in the past, and we enjoyed that a lot. Okay, anybody going to come up here and work with me on this? Share anything with the audience, or is this a blank one? You know, it's up to you. Last call. 1, 2. Huh? What's that? Koali, you want to come up here and share that so they can all hear you? Hey, we do have one. Thank you very much. Wonderful. You and I can talk briefly, and you can talk to the folks in there. So let's see if you're live on there. Go ahead, give it a tip.
I was just going to, I'd introduce myself and say, my name is Ed, but you'd think I was at the wrong meeting. Anyway, my favorite place to relax in Puerto Vallarta is on the Isla Koali.
Okay, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Well, we just found a nice little restaurant there when we were in the mood for having a nice glass of dry white wine and creek was trickling on by the side, and you sit up there and look at Grigo Gulch and say, nice place to visit.
Great, great.
But it's all about relaxation.
Okay, thank you very much. Give them a little hand there for sharing with you. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the Koali River area, part of the presentation today, and that's my wife Barbara and myself one of our favorite spots in Puerto Vallarta, so if you can get down there and your feet are good and you're good for walking, then I'd recommend you get to it. You can see where we are here with Puerto Vallarta in relationship to Mexico. All right, one of my tips for you is a little concept I call walk around, talk around. And if you, I've found this really valuable. Sometimes we go to a strange place and we think, how do I get to know what's really good here? One way is to talk to somebody who's already been there, like I tried to do just now. Another way is to actually query, talk to, question the people, shop owners in particular. If they own the shop, they want, you know, they've obviously got a vested interest in their town, and they tend to know a lot about what's going on in their particular city. So if you're a history buff and you want to know more about history, because today you're just going to get a peek at it. I'm just giving you a few little tidbits to kind of whet the appetite and the amount of time we have together. If you're interested in the people, the culture, and so forth, then think about questions there. If you're interested in places to go and see and do, again, ask questions there. If you're interested in art, then again, the right questions. So let's look at some questions here. And then I'll, again, maybe draw a couple, if you can shout out nice and loud for me. I'll draw a couple from the audience, too. So you ask leading questions. One related to history. If I were to walk into a store owner and I'd ask him, I said, your town seems to have a lot of historical places to go. Can you tell me what's the most interesting thing about your city's history and where I can go to find out more about it? You get the idea? So you probe in, asking people to tell you where they think you should go if you want to know more about the history of their city, and what particular places of interest related to history would they recommend that you go. Anybody have another question they might have asked on that one? Anybody have one coming to mind right now that you'd ask if you were interested in history? Any history buffs here? Okay. All right, on the people, who is the person that most impacted the city? This could be someone that's current or someone who's dead and gone on. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, so she says, all right, there's somebody that made an impact on the city with a particular movie. We'll talk a little bit about that, just very briefly. And so by asking that kind of question, these lead-in questions that get people to share with you what they know about the place. What places should I not miss before leaving the city? I found that word "not miss." You know, you've only got a limited amount of time. And I find when I ask a local, what should I not miss, and I ask that question several places, I tend to get little crosshairs of where I should definitely think about trying to go. If I hear it from 2-3 people, the same answer, don't miss this particular place, then that's a good clue that that's probably going to be a place of great interest to me if I want to see the things that the locals feel are really worth seeing in their own town. So that's my walk around, talk around tip for you folks, and I use that in each one of my programs because I think it works so well, and Barbara and I have gained a lot and met some interesting people by using that. Okay, Puerto Vallarta City, the population, this is 2005 census. There hasn't been a census since then, to my knowledge. It was 177, almost 178,000. The main crops: flour, corn, sweet corn, dry beans, fresh chili, watermelon, tobacco. So they've got an agricultural base here where they can plant and harvest crops and do rather well by standards for Mexico with it. Industries: food, beverage, furniture production, construction supplies, shipping, trucking, wholesale, and retail are the main things. This port is a very active port.